Am I really that good? Are you?
Welcome back to Recap It. Today we are going to recap a 2009 romantic comedy movie titled The Ugly Truth. Abby, a lovelorn TV producer, finds herself in the midst of tests when she strikes a deal with her chauvinistic colleague, Mike, who wants to prove to her the accuracy of his relationship theories. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Abby, a determined woman, is the protagonist of our film. She runs a morning show as a producer. Despite her abilities, the show's ratings are declining due to its content. When her boss, Stuart, summons her to his office to discuss ways to improve the show, she is taken aback. He then tells her that if the ratings don't improve, he'll have to cancel the show, putting even more pressure on Abby. Abby and her assistant, Joy, are in the bathroom talking about Stuart's concerns when she tells her that she did a background check on her date for tonight. Joy insists on her showing up, despite her desire to stay at home and brainstorm some ideas. Abby surprises her date later at a restaurant by telling him she did a background check on him. She then gives him a questionnaire to see if he's the right man for her. The date appears to end with her going home alone. Abby eventually comes across a TV show whose host is spewing misogynistic nonsense. She decides to call the show herself to give him a piece of her mind out of rage. However, he tells her that she will be alone for the rest of her life because she is ugly, and he hangs up on her. The next day, Abby arrives at work to learn that Stuart has signed the guy from the TV show, Mike, for a 2-minute segment on their morning show in order to increase their ratings. Despite the fact that the entire staff is opposed to his decision, he has Mike waiting outside the room. She doesn't tell him, however, that she is the anonymous caller on his TV show. Following that, Mike enters Abby's office, only for her to reveal that she is the anonymous caller. He does, however, say that she isn't as ugly as he thought. When Abby meets with her reporters, Georgia and Larry, she gives them a motivational speech in order to encourage them to make Mike look bad on TV. Georgia and Larry try to get under Mike's skin after a while, but Mike manages to make Larry feel emasculated by Georgia's success, who turns out to be his wife. Mike manipulates him despite his best efforts to be supportive of her. Finally, he persuades Larry to kiss Georgia on national television. Meanwhile, Abby is yelling for the show to be paused for commercials. Stuart and Joy find Abby hiding in a closet a few hours later, and he informs her that Mike's segment received 93% positive feedback. As a result, Stuart informs her that he will keep his segment on the show, and that their contract will be renewed as a result of him. Mike, on the other hand, is rejoicing with his sister and nephew, Jonah, for getting on a network. Abby's cat runs out the window later that night to climb a tree. Abby accidentally snoops on her neighbor while he is showering when she climbs it after him. Unfortunately, the branch on which she is standing snaps, trapping her in the tree. So, when her neighbor hears her scream, he rushes outside to save her. Colin, her next-door neighbor, then treats her sprained ankle. Her cat, much to her surprise, takes a shine to him. He then gives her his phone number so she can contact him. Abby tells Joy about how she met Colin the next day, but she's worried she'll screw it up like her previous dates. Mike is getting ready for his segments when she notices her. Despite her best efforts to ensure that he does not say anything offensive, he tells her that it is her responsibility to keep him happy. Abby receives the new report about Mike's ratings the next day, and to her surprise, it's all positive. Mike is convinced that Abby is bluffing when she claims to have met the perfect guy. As a result, she dials Colin's office number in order to ask him out on a date. Mike, however, takes the phone from her and hangs up on him just as he's about to blow her off. Abby, irritated, asks him why he did that, to which Mike responds that if she wants to work with him, she must follow his instructions. He then tells her that if she refrains from calling Colin first, he will call her back. Mike tells her what to say during the phone call when he calls her back. Finally, he makes a deal with her: if he can help her win over Colin, she will let him stay on the show. Abby reluctantly agrees. Mike sits down with Abby later to give her advice on how to make Colin fall in love with her. He then takes her shopping and purchases provocative clothing for her as well as hair extensions for her. Following that, Mike visits Abby's home to see the finished product. He tells her she looks great, astounded. Colin unexpectedly knocks on her door. As a result, Mike is forced to hide behind a couch. Abby evidently plays hard to get, which leads to a date with Colin to see a baseball game. Mike, on the other hand, is impressed by Abby's rapid learning. Abby and Colin meet up at the game a few days later, with Mike going undercover in the crowd. He tries to instruct her through an earpiece, but she messes it up so badly that it looks like she's giving him a hand job when she spills her drink on him. Fortunately, Colin kisses her before leaving when he drives her home. After he enters his house, she rushes over to Mike, who is hiding in the bushes, to thank him for his assistance. Nonetheless, Mike appears disappointed that his plan worked. Abby notices Jonah walking into the set the next day. When she tries to stop him, he tells her that he is familiar with him. By the way he speaks to him, she deduces that they are related. Abby tells Mike, nervously, that Colin has asked her out again. As a result, Mike tries to prepare her for the night she'll have sex with Colin. When he discovers that she does not masturbate, he sends her vibrating underwear at night. She puts it on before going out. Unfortunately, Mike and Stuart show up at her house for their work dinner, and she is taken aback. Despite this, they decide to invite Colin to the dinner. Abby loses the remote to her underwear at the restaurant, and it falls into the hands of a 10-year-old. She decides to go to the bathroom while she's freaking out. Stuart, on the other hand, stops her so they can discuss their new campaign. She then has to maintain a calm demeanor while speaking, but she orgasms in front of everyone. After dinner, Mike tells Abby that Colin likes her, which she is overjoyed about. Mike, on the other hand, isn't fond of the idea. Abby and Colin begin dating a week later. Everything appears to be going swimmingly, except for Mike, who is becoming aware that he has feelings for her. Mike and Abby meet at a bar one day to talk about their new segments. He does notice, however, how much more confident Abby has become since she began dating Colin. He then discovers that Abby intends to sleep with him over the weekend. Despite his phony enthusiasm, Mike appears to regret assisting her. The next day at work, Abby learns that Mike has been invited to appear on a late-night talk show. Following that, Abby learns that Mike has been offered a job at a different company, with double the pay. As a result, Stuart insists that she accompany Mike to the late-night show. Despite her plans with Colin, Stuart emphasizes the importance of making sure Mike doesn't come across as a jerk. Abby and Mike fly out the next day, and they can practice his answers to see how he'll speak to the public. The host is aware that Mike isn't as cold-hearted as he appears, despite his ability to carry on with his humor. Mike takes Abby out to celebrate his TV appearance later that night. She then discovers that Mike has been used by women all of his life, which explains why he's putting on a show. He stopped trying because he believes real relationships don't exist. He unexpectedly invites Abby to dance with him. He tries to kiss her while they're dancing. As a result, she declares that they have a flight the next day and that they should leave early. As they say their goodbyes in the elevator, Mike finally gets to kiss her, which confuses Abby because she thought she despised him. Suddenly, she receives a knock at her door, and Colin greets her with champagne. She then tries to hide her disappointment, as she had expected Mike to be there. Mike, on the other hand, is pacing outside Abby's door. Colin answers the door for him when he tries to confess his feelings to her. He appears to make up a story about how he got there and then flees. Abby, on the other hand, pursues him and inquires as to why he kissed her. Regrettably, he advises her not to jeopardize her relationship with Colin, whom she worked so hard to win over. Abby returns to Colin in her room, where she fully admits to faking her personality to get him. Finally, she breaks up with him, leaving him speechless. The next morning, Abby arrives at work to learn that Mike has resigned and accepted a job offer from one of their competitors. As a result, Abby must figure out how to find a replacement for Mike. Meanwhile, Mike comes across his old TV show, which is now hosted by a different person. They're filming in the same park as he is, and the guy ends up screwing it up so badly that Abby has to take charge. When she does, she uses the camera to tell Mike how much of a coward he is. Mike becomes enraged and decides to go over there himself to lash out at Abby for preferring Colin to him. Mike tries to jump out of the hot air balloon after the segment is over. They have no idea, however, that they are still being recorded. He decides to tell her that he loves her after she tells him she broke up with Colin. Finally, Abby kisses him, and this is where the movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.